Oh. Yay!
Yeah.
I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You can sit here and do a sugarcoat job.
I could sit here and do a sugarcoat job, but Kawhi Leonard, James Harden coming to Chase Center for the home opener?
You think Kawhi is going to be there? That's a very big.
Or is he going to be at Levi's watching Niners Cowboys?
You know, it's so interesting. The Brock Purdy rhetoric is just, you're either in or you're out, and people that are out are just so.
No, wait.
So like they're like, you're a homer.
Listen, there's nobody there. Listen, there's nobody that's out. Even I saw Tyler Miller put out a tweet. I'm seeing Tyler Miller even admitted.
Who is Tyler Miller?
Tyler Miller is the villain of the year on YouTube.
Okay.
He does hits on Cron 4.
That's the way I love it. That's the first thing that goes. He's the villain of the year.
On Base Soil podcast. I'm plugging this podcast, and I'll never go on, Tyler. I'm never going on your podcast. On Base Soil. I think Purdy's won him over. Purdy's won him over.
I mean, look, like from the 650, I love Purdy. That's a homer take. Most of the media won't put him up there until he's had a season where he puts up 40 touchdowns.
He threw up 31 last year. Threw up 31.
I think only one player in the league had over 40 touchdowns last year.
I don't know if anybody had over 40. Did anybody have over 40?
I think one. I could be wrong.
I'll look it up. I know Dak had, 36, 37 or something like that. But he threw for the most yards in franchise history.
Who led the NFL last year in passing yards?
Tua Tagovailoa.
Does anyone care?
I mean, if you want to talk about 40 touchdowns, Tom Brady, who is probably one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, as we've said numerous times, has only done it 3 times. So we all want Brock to throw 40 touchdowns. Brady only did it 3 times. One of those years was with Randy Moss.
Last year, Dak, 36 touchdown passes, 9 interceptions. Jordan Love, 32 touchdown passes, 11 interceptions. Brock Purdy, 31 and 11.
This is the
Last year.
Okay, so nobody got 40.
Nobody threw,
Well, there you
Dak
go.
Prescott, 36 touchdowns.
All right, so, but I think my bigger takeaway is like Tua is similar to Brock Purdy in that I don't care what he does in the regular season. Can he win in January? Right? Once he's established, right? He threw up gaudy numbers last year. Great numbers. And the only question I have is, can this guy win a playoff game? Fair or not?
And you know what? He's won a lot of playoff games. First ever playoff game against Seattle.
I'm talking about Brock.
I
was saying Tua.
Yeah. Oh, Tua. Yeah,
I was saying nobody cares.
Nobody cares until he wins a playoff game. Nobody cares about Lamar until he wins a big playoff game. Lamar has to go to the Super Bowl. It's not good enough to just win a divisional round game anymore.
Show up in the AFC Championship.
It's not good enough to show up and win a wild card game in Tennessee. Josh Allen. It's not going to be good enough to lose an AFC Championship game, no matter what type of fashion it's in. He has to at least get Buffalo to the Super Bowl. Tua has to start winning some playoff games. There's no doubt. You're right about that. Brock, for as much as he struggled in the playoffs, when it came to money time, Green Bay, fourth quarter, got to have a drive. He helped lead a go-ahead touchdown drive. Dallas Cowboys, year before, divisional round game. It's ugly. It's a slugfest. Got to make throws on third down. When it was money time, Brock made the throws. All right? Brock made the throws. On my list of who didn't show up for the Super Bowl, Brock Purdy didn't make that list.
No.
He didn't look shook up. That opening drive was beautiful. And then McCaffrey fumbles.
I'm just going to read these off, okay? 23, 22, 22, 30, 9. He got hurt that year. 37, 23, 36. What do you think those numbers are?
Steve Young.
Dak Prescott. Touchdowns every single year. His quarterback rating, just going through the years, 104, 86, 97, 99, 99, 104, 91, 105 last year, almost 106. He's had a monster career. Like, statistically, what is the number one thing? If I say Dak Prescott to someone, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Can't win a big one. Can't win a playoff game.
Can't win a playoff game.
Can't win a playoff game.
He throws up on himself in the playoffs.
Right.
And then I look at his playoffs, right? I look at his playoffs, and I go, all right, 1 interception, 1 interception, 1 interception, 2 interceptions, 2 interceptions. I look at the fumbles, 1 fumble, 2 fumbles, 3, like that's what he's judged on, not the regular season. He has been a great regular season quarterback. He is strictly judged on the playoffs. I feel like Brock's in the same category, and that goes to show you how far he's ascended.
Yeah, no doubt. And I'm looking here at 925 Xfinity Mobile Text Line. National media still out on Purdy. That may be the case. And you know me, Shasky, I don't pay attention to the national media as much as I used to because I know they don't watch like we watch. They don't cover it like we cover it. And it just feels like the Niners, hell, even the Warriors. Why is it that Bay Area teams are just easily hated in terms of their rhetoric and dialogue that there's people that just don't think they're as good as they are? Like for the Warriors for a lot, what Brock Purdy's going through nationally and the 49ers nationally is the same thing the Warriors went through for a decade. Now, the difference is the Warriors end up winning the Larry O'Brien and the trophy, and the Niners have come really, really close. But even though they've come really, really close, you hear stuff about hot seats. You hear stuff about this guy can't play quarterback. Well, is Ayuk really that good? Who is Nick Bosa? Fred Warner should be getting a ton of love as the best linebacker in football. Says sometimes Fred Warner's an afterthought.
Do you see any? This is going to sound okay. Just don't clip this, people. Listen to what I'm saying. Do you see similarities in how Curry was perceived through the first couple of titles and how Brock's being perceived? I'm not saying they're equivalent in terms of their impact on an organization or on the game as itself. I'm saying in terms of the diluting of, well, I mean, he has Iguodala. I mean, he has Klay Thompson.
Well, you know what?
I mean, he has Andrew Bogut, and he has Draymond Green.
People are going to see it as saying, Brock, Steph. No,
That's not what I'm saying.
That.
That's not what I'm saying.
I understand completely what you're saying. Because even when Steph won, well, he didn't win Finals MVP.
It was ridiculous.
And then when Steph won with Kevin Durant, well, Kevin Durant was the best player. Steph needed KD to beat LeBron.
Oh, that part killed me.
Right? And then even the last championship, the fourth championship, trying to nitpick, well, you're ready to differ with Jamal Murray and this and that. And, Jock got hurt and the Celtics weren't ready. It may not be happening now, but I see where you're going here, Shasky, and it could go to that direction where if the Niners win a Super Bowl, well, he's got Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, and Christian McCaffrey. He's got the best weapons in football. Oh, well, he has Kyle Shanahan calling the plays. Well, he has a great system. He's a system quarterback, blah, 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 blah. So those same little nitpicks that people had on Stephen Curry, I see it with Brock Purdy.
All the time.
There is a little bit of a similarity there when it comes to Brock and Steph Curry.
Well, the other thing is that I think the way that they look doesn't fit this is what a dominant player in the league looks like.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not saying that Brock is the equivalent of Steph Curry, like in terms of dominating the league and changing how we play. I'm saying like Steph's scrawny, small guy, not ball dominant, can play off ball, shooting from long distance. It was unconventional.
Plays under the rim.
Absolutely. Brock Purdy, not physically imposing, IQ through the roof like Steph Curry. He doesn't have the strongest arm. He doesn't have the fastest 40 time. Like there are similarities. And then I look at the way they lead. Brock Purdy, though he will get into you when he needs to, he's more understated and leads by example. Steph does a lot of that too.
No, it's a really good comp and a really good comparison. And look, they're not the same players. We know who Steph is. Steph is an all-world, all-generational talent.
Of course.
But it's a great comparison in terms of the hate and the nitpicking because of the size, the stature, the way they play. Brock's not conventional. And then you add in Brock Purdy's draft status where, again, we could say that, hey, the draft status isn't it's always going to be a factor.
Oh, it's a stigma.
He was the 7th round pick. He's Mr. Irrelevant. Has there ever been a Mr. Irrelevant who made it 3 years in the NFL?
No.
This guy's starting his 3rd season now, and he's 2nd season as the bona fide starting quarterback. So there is going to be nitpicks for every win he has moving forward. That's why it's critical, I think, for Brock to start stacking some wins without Christian McCaffrey.
That's interesting.
Because I think a lot of that noise could go away. If he plays at a high level without Christian McCaffrey and this offense doesn't skip a beat, they may not be as explosive. They may have to go on 14 play 80-yard drives instead of 6 play 80-yard drives. It is what it is. But if he does play well without Christian McCaffrey, I think he could do himself a lot of justice within the eyes of the national media that I'm sure he doesn't care about, nor do we care about. But nationally, people will see that and say, oh, yeah, Brock Purdy's that guy. He just did this without Christian McCaffrey.
No doubt. No, and you know what, though? There will be a small segment that'll say, but he still has Kittle, and he still has Debo. And again, those people are ridiculous.
Right.
And those are the kinds that you're never going to satisfy.
No, you're not.
And I know I've made the comp to Steph Curry.
It's not even a comp to Steph Curry.
No, I'm saying
it's how they're covered.
How they're perceived.
Yeah.
The comp of how they're perceived nationally. Buster Posey is the guy that Purdy reminds me the most of. And the reason why I say that is that when I watched Buster early on, I was like, oh, it looks like he's been playing catcher at the big league level for a decade. right? And there was just this kind of like team leader aspect to the way he played and this stability and this calmness that it resonated, right? And like, I look at Brock and I'm like, man, it looks like he's been playing quarterback for 10 years. And the way his teammates talk about him and respond to him, it reminds me so much of how Posey was talked about by that pitching staff. Because Kane was established, Lincecum was established, Zito was established. There were more established guys on that team than we want to give credit for. And almost immediately they're like, oh, no, this is the guy.
Hey, this is the
guy. Well, and I feel like a lot of these guys like Trent Williams and Debo and Ayuk and Kittle, they're like, no. Brock's the dude.
When did you feel like Brock was a dude?
Well, I told you when I went to that Cowboy game last year and seen him dice them up the way that he did, that was like a revelation. Like he hit some layered throws in that game. I was like, oh my God. Because like the Seattle playoff game, they blew the doors off him. I was like, all right, well, what's he got for Dallas? And the Dallas playoff game was tight. Yeah. And he made a couple plays.
Right.
It could have gone either way. Then he hurts his arm. It's like, oh my God, are we kidding me? Was it a fluke? Was it a Nick Foles magical run? Then you come back the next year, and I'm sitting in that end zone, and I'm watching him do that on a primetime game against what I consider to be an elite defense, the Dallas Cowboys. I was like, yeah, I bought in. Yeah. Now, are there moments in games where he doesn't play well, and I don't think he's having the greatest game? For sure. But I think the evidence is pretty comprehensive. He's a really good player. He's a really good player.
His toughness is underrated. When you think about the Tampa Bay game, his first ever start, and it comes against Tom Brady, possibly the greatest quarterback of all time, on the other sideline, and you do what you do in that football game. And then you do the next week on a short week, you're playing Seattle. And just like Christian McCaffrey, that NFC Championship game against Philadelphia, nobody knew if Purdy was going to be ready for that game.
No.
It's a rib injury. And he goes out there and leads them to a hat and T-shirt victory up in Seattle, Thursday Night Football. But for me, it was week 2 of that Rams game. So a couple games before the Dallas game, but being at that Rams game, no Ayuk. He got hurt in the first half, and he basically had to be a decoy. Pardon me. They went on that drive before halftime, down 17-10 with no timeouts. No timeouts, Shasky. 17-10. And this is, in the second, Shanahan in 2-minute drills, he'll start to run the ball. He'll run the clock. He'll play it conservatively. They go down the field. And it's one play left in the half, and Shanahan says, go for it. You're doing a quarterback sneak. And they tied the game at halftime, and then they go win that game 30-23. And I walked out of SoFi Stadium and said, I'm no longer worried about the quarterback. No longer worried about him. Now, as you mentioned, there's a moment to the playoff game. It's like, this guy looks like Jimmy G right now. What's going on? He don't win this game. Kirk Cousins is back in play. Now, we get irrational during moments, but it feels like he's the guy. Now, Oscar EPA says the Tampa Bay game when he got blasted on the first play of the game, bounced up and led him on a touchdown drive. It happened sooner for other people. But for me, the game last year, week 2 against the Rams, that's what I was like, we got a dude. We got a dude.
To take people behind the scenes, you gave that entire thing with a tear in your eye because you choked up on a chip.
Yeah.
That you were eating at the break.
That's next level. That's perseverance right there.
I mean, that's like playing like CMC with an Achilles injury.
That's resilience right there.
You know why I bring that up is because that happens to me like once a week, twice a week, where I'm eating peanuts, and the next thing I know, it goes down the wrong, windpipe, and I can barely talk.
Oh, dude, you like that? I was seeing Shasky. He was ready. He was ready to go step in. I was like, I got this.
No, I will power through it.
I will power through this, baby.
You did. ISO, get out. I got this.
5 out. Hey, I need a screen right here. Get up. No, get out. Or I could be like Jimmy G in Chicago. Hurry up. Get over here. Hurry. Hike. Quick slant, 8 yards. And I'm like, oh my God, we got a quarterback. I felt like that with Jimmy too.
It is so interesting how polarizing he is. And I don't understand how we can't just say, yeah, he's really good.
Brock Purdy?
No one's saying he's the greatest player who ever lived. We're like, dude, he's really good. He's perfect for Shanahan.
It's tough.
He's really good on this team. And yet, saying that out loud, people nope, I saw Jimmy lose a Super Bowl. They both suck.
Yeah, that's 49er fans.
What?
That's 49er fans. We just need one out here.
There's
so many people yesterday, they just need a Super Bowl.
It's so bad.
We need one. Big Dino at the Olympic Club last night was like, I'm going to keep going to Super Bowls until they win one. I'm not going to be the guy that miss out on the Super Bowl win. So even if they lose, I'm going to keep going to them.
It's the most obnoxious thing. I'm going to keep going to Super Bowls.
I'm going to keep spending $8,000.
Oh, God, I love him.
To be heartbroken.
I love him. Dino, I love you, buddy.
Steven in Oakland.